Alrighty, welcome into Getting Technical, brought to you by Better in Green. I am Ethan. With me here is Wyatt. Wyatt, mid-February, we're getting to the end of the college basketball regular season here. It's kind of been flying by, but, welcome in. We have three great matchups tonight, two ranked matchups, Michigan State and Purdue. We have Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and then we're going to be talking about Kansas, who is still 23rd in the rankings, headed to BYU as a slight road underdog there. But before we get into these games, how you doing? How has your last week of college basketball been?
I can't really remember how the betting's gone. I feel like it's been very like 500-ish. I don't think I've been up or down any certain amount. Yeah, it is flying by, like you mentioned. We're like a week or a month away from the season being done, like the regular season being done. So I know everyone's been focused on other sports. I know NHL is doing their Four Nations. I know football, Super Bowl, and playoffs is just wrapping up. College or football also wrapping up, and now people are realizing we literally have, I don't know how many games are left, 10 games left of the regular season. So it's really getting down to crunch time, really getting down to figuring out who the really good teams are, who the sleeper teams may be in the tournament. And I'm super excited. It's a big week for the Big Ten. I know we'll talk about Michigan State here shortly, but this Friday night, a big game between my boys in blue and your boys in green, Michigan State. So excited to see how that's going to go. And just excited to follow the rest of this regular season in college basketball.
Yeah, I've been if you follow me on Twitter, most know I've been struggling in the Power Five for sure over the last month or so. So I've really kind of been focusing on the smaller, the West Coast Conference, the Mountain West, some of those other smaller conferences. I'm looking right now, West Coast Conference, 3 games left regular season. They always do finish a little bit earlier than the Power Five, but I mean
Wow.
it's crazy. Yeah, a week from now, I think they're gonna have 1 game left on schedule. So absolutely insane. But without further ado, let's get into the first game here. 13th ranked Purdue headed to East Lansing, 14th ranked Michigan State. Michigan State 3.5 point favorite, over under 148.5. I will kick this one off here with my Spartans. I made the worst bet of my entire life on the Spartans money line against Indiana. It was minus 600, and I I had a major lapse of judgment. It was just a horrible bet. I couldn't believe I did it, and it lost naturally. So I had very low confidence heading into the last matchup at Illinois. I had kind of mentioned on our live on Saturday, the fans were not happy after the first meeting between Illinois and Michigan State, and thought Michigan State got a lot of calls. Thought it was just a bad spot for Michigan State, and they go out, win that game by 14. Now they have Purdue back at home. And I mentioned this on our show on Saturday too. I don't know if this is a big game for me or if it's a big game for the team as well. Obviously, it's a big game, but to me, this is like the game on the schedule. Purdue has really beaten up on Michigan State ever since they had Zach Edey. Basically, every game that they played during his time there, Purdue would end up winning that game. So, without Edey here, it does make me want to lean on Michigan State. Honestly, after what I saw at home against Indiana, I don't know if being at home is a huge advantage for Michigan State here. Um, but that is going to be my lean, minus the 3.5. I don't love that they have Michigan on deck on the road on Friday night. That's going to be a huge game. Those three are currently at the top of the Big Ten standings. And then I also don't love the fact that Purdue is on a 2-game losing streak against Michigan and Wisconsin. And after this game, this is their last, as of now, ranked opponent on the schedule. So after dropping 2 ranked games, you got to think they're going to come in here with a lot of intensity. I could also see a potential flat spot for Michigan State after Izzo got his record-breaking Big Ten win. But that all being said, I just feel like now that Edey's gone, I think it's a good opportunity for Michigan State to potentially get that monkey off their back. Again, I don't know if the monkey's more on my back than it is theirs, but to me, it's a huge game. So I'm going to lean Michigan State. I also just can't give out Purdue and have Michigan State go in by 10. Just can't be doing that. So it's not a game I'm going to bet. I'm going to leave it alone, just hope for a Michigan State win. But I will lean the 3.5 or probably just the money line.
Yeah, this one's tough. We talked about, I know me and you talked about, I can't remember if it was on the show or not, but Michigan State's next couple games are an absolute gauntlet. So that win at Illinois was such a big win, I think, for Michigan State, because as you guys said, we have Purdue, Michigan State tonight. We have Michigan State traveling to Michigan on Friday. We have Michigan State traveling to probably, in my opinion, the toughest place to play in the country, which is Maryland next Wednesday. They then are at home against Wisconsin, travel to Iowa, and then are at home against Michigan to finish off the regular season. So, not one game on that schedule is an automatic win. So, it was a huge win to win at Illinois on Saturday. So, um, I think they're going to come out with the same intensity and realize that this is a really big win that they need to get after they have two really big away games upcoming. So I think Michigan State is going to cover this game. I like if you guys have followed me at all, do not take spreads under 4.5. Just take them straight up money lines. I don't know what the money line is. It's probably a little gross, probably in the minus 150s, minus 160s. But I don't mess around with spreads in college basketball anymore. I just lay the extra juice. So I'll take Michigan State. I think this is a huge game. I hope they drop their next game to Michigan. I think they'll probably lose. I actually think they'll get blown out by Maryland. Maryland is very good at home. I think they'll beat Wisconsin. So I don't know. I think this is a really big game for Michigan State for their seeding, for the Big Ten seeding, Big Ten standings, and then in tournament seeding as well. So I'll take them. Trust that the line is right. I was kind of expecting Michigan State to be like a 1.5 point favorite, but maybe because, like you said, Purdue 2 straight losses, it jumped them up to 3.5. I think that's a little too much, but I'm going to trust that it's correct. So I'll just take Michigan State money line to get the job done at home.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at our friends over at DraftKings here do have the lines up, and this is a very strange line. It is pretty telling. Their money line minus 192, which
Ooh.
does not coincide with the minus 3.5. Although the 3.5 is currently juiced minus 118. So yeah, that does tell me Michigan State's probably more of the right side. I would also 2 days ago I would recommend doing a money line parlay, Michigan State and another team. I'm not ever doing that again. I think I'm like 0-4 trying money line parlays. I loved Butler on Saturday. I'm like, I don't want to lay the points. I'm just gonna tie it up with Ole Miss or Purdue. Didn't matter. Both of them lost outright. So I ended up choosing Ole Miss. It didn't matter. So I'm done with that. But yeah, go green. Hope they at least get it done on the money line there. Next game up here, we do have an SEC battle, which it wouldn't be a getting technical show without an SEC matchup here. But 7th-ranked Texas A&M heads to 21st-ranked Mississippi State. Another difficult game, 3.5 home favorite once again for Mississippi State, the other MSU, if you will. Total 143.5. I am struggling to break down this game, so I'm going to throw it over to you. What are you liking in the SEC matchup, A&M against Mississippi State?
Yeah, I mean, right off the page, it screams Mississippi State for the system that we follow. I mean, 3.5 points. Texas A&M's higher ranked. I don't know. I don't believe in Mississippi State at all, and I think their home record says it all. I mean, teams don't lose at home majority of the time. They usually always have winning records. Mississippi State's terrible at home. They've lost their last 3 home games. The last home game they've won was against rival Mississippi State, who they took that game to overtime. They then lost to Kentucky also at home. Their only conference win besides that Mississippi State team was South Carolina at home, who is terrible. So they have 1 home win, 2 home wins on the year, and 4 home losses, 2 home wins. Terrible. Like I don't know how this team is ranked. I keep saying it. First of all, Ole Miss is terrible. Absolutely disgusting. They can't
Horrible.
rebound to save their life. Mississippi State dominated the boards. Like I think it was no joke, like 37 rebounds to like 14. And you can't win games when you get outboarded like that. But both these teams are bad. And Texas A&M is very good. Texas A&M is very good. They have really good away wins. They beat Missouri on the road. They beat Ole Miss on the road. Whatever. They beat Oklahoma on the road. We have another good one on here. I thought they beat Purdue on a semi-away game. So they have the resume, and sometimes you just got to trust your gut. I know we love looking at the numbers, looking at the splits, looking at the system plays. I don't believe Mississippi State at all. Texas A&M is a tournament team. Texas A&M is a potentially deep tournament team. Fantastic defense. Number 6 defense in the country. This team is legit. I'll take Texas A&M plus some points all day against this terrible Mississippi State team.
You must have stolen my notes because you literally said everything I was going to say. So I'll keep it short, and I'm just going to reiterate some of the points you made. Yeah, A&M, good road team. Mississippi State, like you said about being at home, one regulation win in 2025 at home. It was against South Carolina back on January 4th. I mean, that's forever ago for a 21st ranked team in the nation. It's absolutely insane. I'm not a believer in Mississippi State. I do think the rebounding keeps them in games, wins them games, but yeah, you can't keep up winning games just by uh, beating other teams on the glass all the time. So yeah, I'm not a believer in Mississippi State. I'm going to look at Texas A&M. Last thing I'll say, A&M here after this game against Mississippi State, they have Tennessee on deck, 6th ranked. Have not played Tennessee yet this year, so no revenge game or anything of that nature. Then it's Vanderbilt, 2nd ranked Florida, 1st ranked Auburn, finish out with a road game at LSU. So tough schedule for A&M. They're currently 3rd in the SEC, which is extremely impressive for how good the SEC is. Might drop a couple of those games against the top 10 teams. So I think it's just a big game to go on the road, try to get not necessarily a statement win, but just another good win for that resume on the road against a ranked Mississippi State team. So I will also take the points for every single reason why you just said. Lastly, here we'll look at our nightcap game, 9 p.m. Eastern. We have the not so great anymore Kansas Jayhawks, 23rd in the nation, headed to BYU, who is currently unranked, but I'd have to believe they're very close to being ranked. BYU, a 1.5 point home favorite, over under 148.5. This game does kind of fit our system here. I'm interested to see how you're breaking it down, so I'm going to throw it to you first. How are you breaking down Kansas and BYU?
Yeah, this is my least favorite game. Kansas isn't very good. It kind of makes me happy. Screw Hunter Dickinson, my ex-Michigan Wolverine, but they're just not good, and they're really really bad on the road. Granted, they're a very good home team. They're honestly they have 2 home losses in the conference. One was a double overtime where they should have won against Houston, and then one was by 1 point to West Virginia at home back in New Year's Eve. So they're a very good home team, but they've lost 4 out of 5 away games, and they're not to good teams. These are KenPom rankings. So number 78 Utah, number 59 Kansas State, an okay loss, but by 11 points, and number 29 Baylor. They beat their only away game in the last 5 games. They beat TCU, who's on KenPom ranked 84. Then they lost Iowa State on the road. So yeah, they suck on the road. BYU is in a very similar spot in the conference. They're both 8-6. They're both fighting for seeding. They're both fighting to make a spot into the tournament. Both these teams are probably going to be bubble teams come Selection Sunday, which is crazy to say with Kansas. But I mean, as of right now, Kansas is probably going to be an 8 or a 9 seed. So they're a couple losses away from getting kicked. So I don't know. I think BYU has more to play for. BYU also just isn't fantastic. They really don't have a good win on their resume. Every big team they play, they lost to Houston, lost to Texas Tech, lost to Arizona. They don't really have a fantastic win. Their best win probably is against Baylor, who they beat in OT. So it's not like they're screaming off the page and screaming for me to bet them on the upset. Not really the upset, but ranking upset against Kansas. I'm a little cautious here, but I don't trust Kansas on the road. I'll take BYU. Don't know if I'll bet this game. I'm not sold on BYU, but I can't back Kansas on the road with their current resume. Can't do it. So I'll trust BYU gets up for at home, but confidence level is very small for this one.
Yeah, I don't love this game either. Kind of like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm struggling in the Power Five. My bread and butter the last week or two has been the smaller conferences, but I'm going to disagree here. I'm going to lean Kansas plus the 1.5. And really, I wouldn't put a ton of faith into this system, but they have lost 4 of their last 7. But none of those games have been back to back. It's been win loss, win loss, win loss, win loss. Off a loss here. They do have a second game on the road because their first game was a loss at Utah, or the game on Saturday was a loss at Utah. But Utah to BYU, I don't know how many miles apart those 2 schools are, but it's not far. So I don't think it's as bad as a traditional back-to-back road trip there. And then on deck for Kansas, they have Oklahoma State and Colorado, 2 of the worst teams in the conference. So absolutely no look ahead spot. They need to get back on track. They have one of the best coaches in college basketball here. So I'm more so trusting the pedigree of Kansas, the pedigree of Bill Self, and kind of just the talent on that team to get a nice bounce back here. Meanwhile, BYU, I mean, yeah, they did stop K-State in their tracks. K-State was smoking hot, but they're not that good. I'm not super impressed by that win. Yeah, they beat West Virginia on the road, but just not super impressed with BYU. They do have Arizona on deck as well, a team that they just lost to on February 4th, so a pretty quick revenge spot there. They have to go on the road, play Arizona and Arizona State. So I just don't know if I love the spot for BYU. Like I said, I'm kind of trusting Kansas and Bill Self and the talent on that team to bounce back at BYU. So I'll take the 1.5 here. Again, not sure if I'm gonna be betting this game either, but that is my lean for the show.
I like it. Yeah, that one's my least favorite, but most likely we'll have a bet in that Purdue Michigan State game and A&M Mississippi State game. So make sure you stay tuned for both of our Twitters. I know we'll be posting our plays for tonight's games.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, I'm kind of dialed in. I've been white hot in Big East play lately. I have a very good feel for that. So a couple of Big East games tonight. I will be tweeting those out. I haven't been tweeting as much, but I need to get back on that. I just feel like it's a curse whenever I do it, so I haven't been. But I'll get back to tweeting those out, and then yeah, like we mentioned, college basketball winding down, but we do have a ton of really solid games from here until conference tournament. So be on the lookout for more videos from us. Wyatt, before we get out of here, do you have anything else to add?
I don't. Go Blue on Friday. That's about it.
Yeah, big matchup on Friday. Maybe we'll get together and film something for that. But guys, enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy the rest of the college basketball season while it's still here. And good luck with all your bets. We'll see you in the next episode.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover old spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast. Better in Green.